Oh, and I did take. I didn't upload it till today, but the things we talked about on Tuesday, we recorded it and uploaded. It was we were only here for like 45 minutes, I think. Is that right? It was about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, So what we're going to do, I guess, an overview before we get into the detail of how. Let's talk about what we're doing, because sometimes for me, if I know what I'm doing, then the how makes more sense and I can remember. So we're going to graph, and what we're going to do when we graph is we're going to have some equation, and we're going to draw a picture of all of the answers. So the equations we have that we're going to do, they're all linear, which means it's a straight line. So it might be something that looks like this. Yep. I'm going to add something to our list here. Intercepts. Yep. All right. Now, so like this line right here, every point on this line is like coordinates, like x comma y, right? And every one of these points, like this is another one, this would be like x1 comma y1, and this, we'll call that x2 comma y2. Every one of these points would be some answer, and by an answer, what I mean is you would plug in the numbers and you'd get a true statement, like something that's equal. Am I going too fast? Ay, ay, ay. There we go. All right. So Celine, I think we talked last time about slope, right? We talked about slope being, well, what slope really is it compares, it's like a number, it's a ratio that compares how the output, which is the y, changes with the input. And so, like slope compares those two. So slope is like dollars per hour. Like in reality, how much you get paid is a slope. It's a rate of change, or miles per gallon. But like the input, like when you're working, the input is the hours and your output is the dollars. That's your pay, right? So like this would look bad because X, like positives that way. This says the more you work, the less money you have. That's education. If you work in education, that's how it works. The more you work, the less you make. True story, I promise. So this is hopefully not what it looks like when you're working more. It should be the other way around. So the way we figure out slope is we just pick 2 points, like say this point and this point, and you look at the change in y, and that goes on the numerator, and the change in x goes on the denominator. So this y distance and that x distance will be your slope. So it's the y over the x. But it's like the change. So it's how this changes compared to how that changes. So there's a formula. You know m stands for slope, right? The formula is this. And that's just, this is mathematically, this is rise over run. It says how far up or down does the line go, and how far over, left or right, does it go. All right. So if we had, like, let's say we had a point like 5, 2, and let's say we had another point like 7, 5, and we wanted to find the slope between these 2 points. Right. So again, the slope's talking about how far up does it go, divided by how far over does it go. Y is the up and down, right? So this goes from 2 to 5. I think that's, whoa. Whoa, I was trying to draw one of these little brackets, and then I got all confused. There we go. Wow.
So the rise would be 2.
From 2 to 5 is 3.
Oh, 2 to 5.
Yeah, because the y is the rise. Y goes up and down, so that would be, and then here from 5 to 7 is 2. So the slope here would be 3 over 2. All right, so now how that would look with the formula, right? The thing, like, you know what that 2 means, and the 2 and the 1 and the 1, you know what those mean? They just mean like x2 and x and y2, they go together. So it could be this one, could be that one, it doesn't matter. But yeah, x1 and y1 are the same point. So you just pick like which one you want to be number 2 and which one you want to be number 1, and then you just plug it in. So like for example, let's say this is point number 2 right here, and let's say this is number 1 right here. Okay, so this is point number 2, that's point number 1. So y2 is 5 minus 2, and then x2 is 7 minus 5, and so that's 3 over 2, same thing.
Can you repeat
Which part? So you're just plugging in the numbers. So it's y's, you subtract the y's, so 5 minus 2. But if you use this one first on the top, then this one has to be first on the bottom. And so yeah, you just plug it in. So 5 right here, minus 2, and it's minus because of this. And then on the bottom 7, and then minus, and then the other x, 5. The only thing that you could, like, okay, you could subtract wrong. That makes that's easy. And you could put x on top. But the most common mistake is if we had 2 points like, or if we had a bunch of negatives. Like this. This is where you're going to get in trouble. Negatives. So you have to be careful. There's a negative in it.
The minus sign, yeah.
Right. There's already that there. That doesn't take the place of this or anything. So let's just do this. Let's plug it in. Let's see. So that's going to be negative 6. And then minus negative 7. And that's going to be over negative 3 minus negative 4. And this becomes positive, of course. So that's 1 over 1, which is just 1. You get the same answer if you use, so here we use this one to go first.
Yeah,
we use 6. You get the same answer either way.
Either way you get the same.
Yeah, like here, I'll go ahead and show you. Negative 7 first this time, minus negative 6, and then negative 4 minus negative 3. You're going to get the same answer because that's negative 1 divided by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is still positive 1. Negative divided by negative is positive. You doing good so far? Okay. All right. You ready, Celine? All right, so check this out. There's one other thing that can get tricky about using this formula. That's 8 divided by 2, right? And what this is really asking, and this is really saying 2 times what number equals 8. And that's why it equals 4. Because 2 times 4 is equal to 8. That's equal to 4. Okay? So 2 times what equals 8. That's how it really works. What you're going to have sometimes is you're going to have something like let's say we had a point 5,2 and 5,11. Okay, so we're going to do 11 minus 2 over 5 minus 5. That's 9 over 0. That's a problem. Because this is saying, what this really means, it means 0 times what number equals 9? Well, 0 times 0 equals 0.
0 times anything.
Right. There's no number times 0 that equals 9. That's impossible. That's not a number. It's not a number because 0 times everything is equal to 0. It's never equal to 9. There's no number times 0 that equals 9. That's not a number. So what we say is this is called undefined, which means there's no definition for it. It's not a number. That's what it means. So if you have a number over 0, that's undefined. Now washa. Check this out. Let's say this is 5 right here, okay? So our 2 points were like right here, 5, 2, right? And then 5, 11 right there. Do you see? And so this line is vertical. So here's the fact. Vertical lines, they have a slope. It's called undefined.
Okay. Yeah, cause what's the slope, right?
So yeah, it's undefined because it goes straight up and down. So it's the rise is whatever you want, but the run is always 0 because it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go left or right. There is no run. It's 0 because it doesn't go sideways. It just goes up and down. Now, check this out. I'm going to show you one more fact about vertical lines. You see, this one we said was 5, 2, and this was 5, 11. Let's put some other points on there. Like this one, let's say that's 5, negative 4. And let's put this one 5, negative, I don't know, 6. Now, the thing is, when you have a line, it's a picture of all of the answers to an equation. So these are all answers to one equation. Do you see what x equals every single time? 5. The equation for this line, that's x equals 5. This graph is x equals 5. This graph is the line x equals 5. So here's our other fact. This is fact number 1. Here's fact number 2. Vertical lines are from equations x equals some number. It's not a hashtag, it's just a number. Yeah.
I don't think anybody here uses that. I still see that as a pound.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, number, pound, something like that, right?
Sign.
Yeah.
Everybody
I don't even call it a hashtag, like, yeah.
I remember you asked that last time, everybody was like, hashtag.
Right, I know, it's like, I don't use hashtags. Yeah, I only use them to be funny to, kids. So x is equal to some number. It's going to be a vertical line. And actually, third fact. This one's a little different though. The equation of the y-axis is x equals 0. X equals 0 is the y-axis. Because the y-axis is right here, right?
Yeah.
Well, everywhere on there it's 0 and then some number for y. You see? Everywhere on there x is 0. So x equals 0 is the y-axis. Doing good? So far so good. Okay. Alright. Now, So here, let's back up. I want to make sure that all of these, because sometimes these can seem all random, but they're all connected. So here's what we got. Slope is talking about how things change. And the way we say that is it's the change of the output divided by the change of the input. So rise over run. So how far up and down divided by how far over. Like 2 points will go. Right? And then there's a formula we can use. Rise is y and or run is, I wrote rise over, and I meant to write rise over run, and I wrote over. Because I said the word.
Yeah. And when I wrote it down, I was like, over, right?
Yeah,
it changed.
Yeah, it's rise over run, and so I said over, and I wrote I said,
I caught that, and I was like, I didn't
dang, yeah, rise over run. Sorry, my fault.
Overrun, yeah.
Yeah, rise over run. So that's y over x. So the change in the output divided by the change in the input, and that describes the relationship between the output and input, like dollars per hour. And there's a formula for it, right? And we talked about that. And that just gives you a way, like if you have a graph, you can just find the slope, right? Okay. And so that ties in to, well, sometimes when you have a ratio, you can't divide by 0 because it's not a number, because there's nothing times 0 that will equal the numerator. And so if you have a slope where it's a number divided by 0, that's called undefined. And it's a vertical line. And vertical lines have a special kind of equation where it's just x equals a number. There's no y. And the y-axis it has an equation that's x equals 0. So we got all that like so far. Okay? There's one other weird thing that happens with the slope. Like let's say we had, man, this is just fancy lesson so far. Let's say we had 11 comma 5 and 2 comma, oh no, sorry, 5, I hate my life. 11 comma 5 and 2 comma 5. There we go, my fault. So if we were going to find the slope of this, it would be 5 minus 5 on the top and 11 minus 2 on the bottom.
Yeah.
Here it's 0 over 9. And what? Yeah, it's the other way, right? And what this is asking, this is saying, hey, 9 times what number equals 0? Well, doesn't 9 times 0 equal 0? 9 times 0 is 0. So this 0 over 9 equals 0. So here's the thing. We'll do our facts over here this time. Fact numero uno. 0 divided by a number equals 0. Now 0 over 0 doesn't actually equal 0. That's nothing. But we're not going to get into that. Don't need to worry about that. So 0 divided by another number besides 0 is always 0. Okay? And so let's graph these 2 points. Let's see what they look like. I know there's a lot of information, and I haven't even taught you how to do anything yet. Okay. So 11.5 might be over here, and 11.2. I'm sorry, 2.5 might be over there. That's horizontal. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I made a line that straight.
Yeah,
I'm kind of proud of myself. Yeah, so here we go. Fact number 2. Horizontal lines. And horizontal goes straight across left to right. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Now you see how on this one, you see how on this one, everywhere y equals 5? The equation of this line is y equals 5. Horizontal lines, they have an equation y equals a number. So here's fact 3. Y equals a number is horizontal. So fact number 4. Oh my gosh. Increíble. The x-axis is y equals 0. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I tried to do it in a way that it would be nice and organized. So I gave you the ideas like about slope first, right? And formula, that's all easy. And then the two weird things that can happen. We have them here, and we have everything that it means when it's weird, like when it's straight up and down. We have all of the things that it means right here. And then when it goes sideways, we have all the things that it means right here. Usually it's not this complicated. These are the two complicated ones. So you have them like right there. Okay? Most of the time it's way easier. Okay. Good so far? Yeah? Okay. We're all good. Okay. Let's see here. She and I did, we graphed on Tuesday with the T-chart. So like let's say we wanted to graph this equation right here. Right? This is what we did, right? and so what we would do is we made like a chart, because a graph is a picture of all the answers. And the thing is, to make the picture, you need at least 3 answers. You need 3 points. You really only need 2, but you don't know if you're right. If you have 3 and they all line up, you're good. But with 2, one could be wrong, they could both be wrong, but your chances of getting 3 wrong and still have them line up, probably, yeah, not gonna happen. So here's what we did. Like, let's say we're gonna graph this one. So here's what we did. We did a table kind of like this. And so our answers are going to go here. Our answers go there. Those are going to be like the coordinate x comma y. And we just get to pick numbers for x, and those go here. And then, Celine, do you remember that I gave you like a way to figure out easy numbers to pick? So you always want to pick 0, because 0 is easy. So we're always going to pick 0. So
actually, we made 1/3.
Yeah, why did we pick 1/3? You don't remember? Okay. I'll tell you why in just a minute. So always pick 0, because like 0 times a fraction is 0, right? So here's what we got. We got y equals 1/5 times 0 plus 4.
Okay.
So you're going to pick your number for x. You're going to replace x with your number you picked, and then you're going to do the math to figure out what y equals. So here, y equals 4, because that's 0, right? So here's how our answer is. We have 0, comma 4. I know when x equals 0, y has to be 4 in order for this to be true. Y is 4, x is 0. Does that make sense? Ernesto, you see where that's going?
Yeah, you put it in,
Yeah.
and then you do the math,
Yeah, and you see what you got left.
and then you put it on the other side.
Yeah, so here's what we have here. We picked x for 0, that's our input,
Yeah.
and our output was 4 for y. So that's going to be our point.
That'd be 1 point.
That's 1 point. We need 3.
Okay.
Nice thing about 0, and this is something we learned the other day, When x is 0, we have a y-intercept.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
When x is 0, we have a y-intercept. That's how you find the y-intercept. You put a 0 for x, and then you solve it. Okay, now, Celine, the reason we picked 3 last time, the denominator was 3. Here the denominator is 5, so we don't want to pick 3. If I put 3, watch. If I put x equals 3, then what I would have is y equals 1/5 times 3 plus 4. So 3/5 plus 4, you gotta do some fractions. You can do the math, that's just 4 and 3/5, but it's gonna be kind of difficult to graph and it's ugly. But if we pick 5, so I'm gonna do this to keep my work separate, right? Let's pick 5. Then it's gonna be pretty, just like all of us. 1/5 times 5 más 4. So we got to reduce. That's 1, right? So y equals 1 plus 4. That's 5. So we have 5 for x, 5 for y. We got 2 answers. So now we're going to pick our third one. Since this was positive, let's pick a negative number. Let's pick like -10. 10 works okay because
You can pretty much pick whatever.
you can pick anything, but pick something that reduces.
Yeah, something in that range, right? I mean.
Yeah, because since 5 goes into 10, it's going to reduce. So we have 1/5 times -10. The only thing you have to do here is you have to just be careful with your math.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I like the table for, is it keeps everything nice and neat. And I don't pick my 3 numbers and then do the math. I pick one number, do the math.
Oh, okay.
Pick one number, do the math. Because then I don't feel like I have to squish it in, and that makes me mess up when I try to write real small.
So
And
just one by one.
yeah, just do one by one. And you won't be wrong if you don't. That's just how I like to do it.
Just
So
organize.
yeah, that's -2 plus 4. That's 2. So we have -10. 2. Man, this party's getting lit. So we have our 3 points. So we're going to graph it now. So let's see here. We'll graph it over here. Okay. So Ernesto, x is this way. It's the first number. So 0, 4 is right here. Yeah? 0, 4 is right there.
Oh, yeah, it's Y.
The next one is 5, 5. That's 5 and 5 for each. That's like right here. And then the first one is -10 or -10. Oh, -10 and +2. So that looks like it's about right there. If it was on graph paper, it would be easier to find those points, but that's what it is. And then conecta los puntos, and we're done. There we go. What do you think, Celine? Okay. Which part is confusing?
No.
Oh, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Soaking it all in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, just making sense of it, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, take your time. All right. So, check this out. This point was 0, 4, right? And this point was 5, 5, right? I know I missed. I'm sorry. I tried to make it work. I tried to get accurate so that I could show you this next part. But here's what I want to show you. I want to show you the slope. Whoa. You see the slope is 1 over 5. Because you see from here, 4, to 5 is up 1. That's plus 1, this direction. The y is plus 1. Are we good with that?
5.
Yeah, and this way is plus 5. So the slope, the y is 1, the x is 5, the slope is 1/5.
Alright.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
The change in y, which is up and down, just any 2 points change in y, over the change in x. Now it's a line, so we actually have the same slope everywhere. Yeah, I'll let you write that down first. Yeah. So because it's a line, the slope is the same everywhere. So we could do the same thing. We could do the same experiment here. Thing is, this is 10, right?
Mhm.
And this is 2. From here to here is 2. So that slope is 2 over 10, but that reduces. 2 over 10 is the same as 1 over 5. Yep. Same slope. See? And the slope's right there.
And the slope's right there.
The slope is right there. Yep. Right there hiding the whole time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Now there's one other thing that's hiding there. It's a clue. Do you see how our y-intercept is right here? I'm going to use a darker color. You see how our y-intercept's right here, right? 0, 4.
Yeah. Oh, Y-intercept.
That's the y-intercept.
Y. Where's the black one? So.
You remember that from Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Celine, here's the thing. When x is 0, we have a y-intercept, right? So if x is 0, if I put a 0 right there, it's 1/5 times 0, right? And 1/5 times 0, 0. So y equals 4. That's what we did here. But even if you don't do a t-chart, you can still find the y-intercept. It's when it's like this kind of equation, where it's y equals a number times x plus another number, that number in front of the x is your slope. And the number over here is your y-intercept. Like that's how it works all the time. It's so much that way all the time that we call that slope intercept form. And that's y equals mx plus b. Bye, Carrie. Like that whole class right there, they're all my old students. Some from high school, some from college, but like yeah, every single one of them. It's kind of funny. Carrie was my student when she was a freshman. So we can actually, without doing a T-chart, we can graph if it's like this. Cool. So we can graph when it's like this. It's really, really, yeah, you don't have to do very much math. You just have to count. And then you can't get things mixed up. So what you do is you start here with your y-intercept. So whatever that number is, right, whatever that number is, you find that number on the y-axis and you put a dot. That's your first step. And then you just count your slope. Your slope is rise, which is y, over run. So then you go, like if it's positive, you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, however, I don't know how far, right? And then you do your run, which would be like 1, 2 or something, and you put another dot. And then conecta los puntos, done. That's what we're going to do. This method only works if it's like this. This works all the time. Even if it's not linear, even if it's another kind of graph or another kind of function, this always works. That's why I showed it to you. This always works. Always. This only works sometimes. This only works sometimes. So you want to try one though? It's going to be fancy.
Yeah.
It's going to be lit. Okay. In fact, like if the Super Bowl's boring and you want to like liven the party up a little bit, you can bust out some graphs. Oh yeah, you can bust out some graphs. Let's go buy some graph paper and some rulers. That might not be bad either, right? If the game's boring. I actually don't like the Super Bowl when it's my team that I cheer for is playing. I get too nervous and like, if they win, it's like, hey, that's great. But I don't want to be around anybody.
Never been in that situation.
Oh no, the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Well, a long time ago when they played the Steelers.
Yeah, one time, and we were.
And it was close. It was a good game. I really liked the game because I didn't care who won, really. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this one right here. Let's try negative 1/2 x minus. Now let's do two of these. Let's do plus 2 first. Okay? And then here, draw the graph this size, and I'll show you why. I'll explain why in a minute. So just go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So draw a graph this size, and it'll make sense why in a minute. There's no mathematical reason to draw a graph that small, but sometimes when you're graphing, you need some tricks so that graphing can be easier. Okay. We're doing good. Yeah. Okay, so this first, right?
Yeah.
And it's the y-intercept.
We'll put that one first.
So that's 2 right here. I'm going to do this equation in red. I'm going to do another equation on the same graph in a different color. Okay, so now, negative 1/2. You see, that's a negative slope. Negative slopes go down from left to right. So you have to be really careful. If it's negative, it's going to go down. Like if you're reading it from left to right, the line's going down. Yeah. So it's going to look like this. So the reason I mention it is when you're done, because it's easy to mix this up. So when you're done with your graph, you want to check, is my slope negative, and is it going down? Because if your line's going up and it says negative slope, you're wrong. Okay? Okay. So rise over run. So starting here, we have to go down 1 and then right 2. 1, 2. So we started here and we went down 1 because of the 1, and it's negative, so down.
2, so you went down 1 because it's a negative 1, and then 2 over.
2 to the right. Yep. And I could do that again. It's like sometimes 2 points sometimes are really close, and it can be hard to make a nice line. So you can do it again. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go down 1 and over 2 more. I'm going to make another dot. So I got 3. You don't have to do 3. You can do just 2 with this. I just do 3 because it makes me feel more confident when I draw my line. All right, let's conecta los puntos. Now I'm going to do a purple. I'm going to do a different line. I'm going to do the same graph, just to save time. You ready? I'm going to show you a trick. Because sometimes you end up with a situation where you can't count the slope in the direction you want to
So
go.
wait. Going back to that one, we're done with that one?
That's done.
That's it. You
Yeah.
graphed it. The
That's it.
question would be
We just say graph.
graph.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you asked that though, because it's really weird because we didn't find any answers, right? We just went with some shortcuts. But here's what I know. Like you see that point right there? That's 4, 0, I'm guessing, right? X is 4, Y is 0. So check this out. This is actually an answer to this equation. Every point on this line is going to be, which is cool because we didn't do any math to get that number. We just drew the picture and there it is. And it is true. Watch, because look, I'm going to plug it in. 0 equals negative 1/2 times 4 plus 2. That's true. Because that's negative 2 plus 2. That's a solution. Every point. This one, I don't know what numbers those are, but that will be an answer to that too. That's the cool thing about, that's what makes graphing really powerful, is if you can just find a few answers, you can draw the shape, and then you can find all kinds of other answers. And yeah, and in real life, like those answers might be for things that are like, how long do I have to work before I can retire? Yeah. Or if I retire right now, how often do I have to eat ramen noodles? Right? Maybe those
That
guys.
was a good one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It says, yeah, something like that. But okay. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's do another graph on the same. I'm going to do it on the same coordinate plane. I'm going to show you what happens when. Well, let's say we had a slope that was positive 3/5, and let's say we had a y-intercept that was 4. Now this is a positive slope, right? So positive is up from left to right. It's got to go up.
It has to go up.
Yeah, which is tricky because 4 is right here, right?
Uh-huh.
And you can't go up 3. There's not room. You could make room, but what if it's like printed and like it has to be exact? Here's what we can do. Watch, check this out. I could go down 3, 1, 2, 3. But if I went right 5, I would have a line that goes down. But watch, I can go down 1, 2, 3, and I can go left 5. Now my line's going up. Because negative 3 over negative 5 is positive 3/5. So you just got to be careful with that. And, yeah. And now we can connect those two dots. And there's that equation. Celine, does that make sense how that happened?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing fantastic. This is why we make the big bucks here, right? Yep. Okay, how are we doing on our list of stuff? Oh, we're doing great.
Let's say you did have room.
Then you just go up 3
Go up
and right.
to
Yep.
the right.
Yep. So that your 2 points would make the line go up. I would do that way
So the other
if I
line
could.
going down.
This one's going down, and this one's going up.
Okay.
Because you read a graph like you read English or Spanish or almost every language. You start on the left and you go right.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah. So this one, if you started here and you were walking on this red line, you're going down.
Yeah.
That's negative. And the gray one, you start here, you're going across, you're going up, which is positive.
Because I never could tell when you got arrows on both sides.
Yeah, how do you know which way it's going, right? Because especially with the arrows on both
Yeah,
sides,
so
right?
I'm like, that's one thing that's always. But now I understand.
Yeah, you start on the left and you go right. Yep. Listo, Celine? All right. So, oh man, let's talk about this equation right here, okay? We found that the x-intercept was 4, right? But let's say we didn't have a graph. Let's say it said find the intercepts and then graph. So let's say we had something like, I don't know, we can just use the same equation right here. Yeah, let's use the same one. We already know the answers, so that way we'll know if we got it right. We already know the answers, but I want to show you the technique so that if it's different and changes, we're good. Okay, so the x-intercept, here's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a number for x and then 0 for y. I'll explain how. Like, I always write it like this because it helps me keep straight in my head what I'm going to do. Because do you remember, let's see here. Oh, I don't remember where we put it. But, yeah, the y-intercept, x is always 0. Yeah. X is always 0. So, you remember how we did with our t-chart? You remember how, like, we plugged in 0 for x on our t-chart? Well, that's what this means. We're just going to take our equation, and we're going to plug in 0 for x. So that's going to be y equals negative 1/2 times 0 plus 2. And we could have used the shortcut and said 2. But if it was a different kind of equation, we'd have to do the math. So that's 2, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's how I found the y-intercept.
The y-intercept is 2, so yeah, because we already had it on the equation.
Right, yeah, okay. Yeah. And it says it there. But if it was like written different, this is the step you'd use. Yeah. So you'd put the 0 for the x, and then you'd solve for y. Now this one.
That's the thing that was confusing me too in the last class, because okay, you get the y-intercept, but then to find the y-intercept, or you have to, in order to find the y-intercept, you put 0.
0 for x.
Yeah, but I would put.
Yeah, right. It's weird because like it's backwards. Like the x-intercept, y is 0. The y-intercept, x is 0.
Yeah, so I would change that y to 0 when it's that number on the end.
Yeah.
Right.
So the x-intercept is trickier here.
Yeah.
Because here for the x-intercept, what we got to do, we have to put the 0 for the y. So 0 for the y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. And we have to solve for x. You just use inverse operations. Like you need to get the x by itself. So you're going to subtract 2. Right? So you got negative 2 equals negative 1/2 times x. And then all you got to do is multiply by the reciprocal. So you're going to multiply both sides by negative 2 over 1. Negative 2 over 1. Because 1/2 times 2, that cancels. Negative times a negative is positive. You're left with just x. And then negative 2 times negative 2, 4. So your answer was 4, 0, which we see right here. Yeah, no problem. No problema. So I think on the first class we were solving equations, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. These are usually easier than those. We did some really ugly ones. This is easier. Muy fácil. If I retire now, how often do I have to eat ramen now? Yep. Okay. So let's try one more of the intercepts, and we're going to graph this time. So it's going to be I'm going to give you a different kind of an equation. Oh, when Celine's ready.
So do something whole.
Yeah, so we're going to do a whole different problem. It's going to say graph by finding the intercepts. Are you ready, Celine?
Yeah.
Okay. You sound excited. You having a good time?
Yeah.
Best day ever?
Yeah.
It's a lot of information, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think,
Me.
no, it is for me
My
too.
brain is old.
Not that old. You're all right. You're all right. So here are the instructions. Graph by finding the intercepts. And I'll show you. We'll do one together, okay? Oh, before we do, Ernesto, the thing, next Thursday, no class.
Next Thursday.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, I'm going to give you a practice quiz.
Well, we have parent teacher conferences.
Yeah, that's what it is.
On high school?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just joking about it. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, no,
I
it's-
meant us. Right?
Oh yeah, right, yeah. That's funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have
So,
parent
yeah,
teacher
okay, the
conference.
high school. Okay.
Yeah. So we won't have class on Thursday. So what I'm going to do is give you a practice quiz, and then the next class on Tuesday we'll go over that, and then we'll have a lesson, and then the next class, which will be,
Like a take-home quiz?
well, just practice, just a review,
Okay.
and then on this day is our first quiz. That's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today. Yep, that's our first quiz. This stuff's on the quiz, for sure. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, ready? Let's say we had 2x minus 3y equaled, I don't know. Let's make it something not too bad, like 12. Now you see this one's not in slope-intercept form, so you couldn't graph it with shortcuts. The easiest way actually to graph this one is with the x and y intercept.
Graph by 5 minutes.
Yeah. So even though that's what the instructions say, we have to do what the instructions say on a quiz or test, but this is actually the easiest way anyway. So the way I would do it is I would always write my two things over here. It just helps me remember what I'm doing and I don't get confused. And then, well, what we're going to see later in this class is we're going to be graphing complicated things, and you're going to have a longer list of stuff. So this is just a good habit to get into because it just, like, these are the things you've found. Right? So this is our list. This is what we need. So for the x-intercept, put a 0 for y. So 2x minus 3 times 0 equals 12. So this is 2 times x minus 0, basically, right?
Yeah.
So 2 times x is 12.
And then 2, 4, 15.
Okay. Now start all over. For the y-intercept, we put the 0 for the x. So it's going to be the 0 for the x. Totally different problem, and you can't do them both at the same time. I see students try to do it at the same time, and it doesn't work. So that's negative 3, y equals 12. So that means that y is equal to negative, negative 4. So you want to graph it now?
Yeah.
All we got to do, we got those 2 points. All we got to do is put them on there. This right here looks like 6 to me. And this point right here, that to me looks like negative 4. Conecta los puntos, done.
So yeah.
That's a positive slope, doesn't it?
Is it going up?
Yep. From left to right, it's going up.
The line.
Got all the Schwecko?
Curves.
Yeah, that happens. So Celine, I think when you do homework, because there's so much information, I think you guys are gonna have to use your notes a lot. Just make sense of it, because it's a lot of information. Like, we're probably gonna do this section over like maybe 2 classes, but in high school, for example, this would be 3 or 4 weeks. A lot of stuff. All right. So here's the thing. Because you're going to get stuck, right? Pro tip. This is the professional. This is the way the professional gets unstuck when they get confused. If you're graphing and you get stuck, just use a T-chart. If one of your shortcuts gets you confused, just use a T-chart, and that will get you unstuck. It takes the longest, but it always works. So if you're trying intercepts and they're both the same number, like they can both be 0, 0. That's only 1 point. You need at least 2. Use the T-chart to find another point. Or if you're, let's say you're going to graph something like y equals 4, and you forgot, which I understand because there's so much information today. You forgot that, now I don't even know where it is. Oh, you forgot this right here. That when it's a y equals a number, it's horizontal, so it goes straight across. So if you forgot that y equals 4 would look like let's say that's 4. Y equals 4 looks like that.
You have to tell you graph it.
It's really, yeah, so if it said graph y equals 4.
Not just put the dot on the number 4.
Nope.
That's not complete.
Nope.
If you say graph, I was like, oh, just put it on number 4.
Yeah, because it's a
You gotta
picture.
draw a line.
Yeah, because it's a picture of all the answers, and that's what the arrows mean. The arrows mean it keeps going each direction in that same line. So you might say graph y equals 4, and you're like, oh no, I forgot.
But if it would say 0/4 and then graph,
Oh, that would be different. That's just a point.
that would be just the point.
So maybe you see this and you forgot how to do it. You can just, all you gotta do is come up with, if you use a T-chart, you're just finding answers. So like, you're just coming up with answers for this. So like 1, 4 works because y is 4, right? 72, 4 works because y is 4. Negative 4014, 4 works because y is 4. So just come up with answers. A couple of points and connect the dots and you're done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why that's the pro tip, because you're going to get confused, you're going to forget. Yeah. Let's see. You haven't practiced any yet, but we've done that. Slope formula right here. We did this. That was vertical lines, right? Vertical lines are straight up and down. That's x equals a number is vertical, and it has an undefined slope. So we did that. Horizontal lines, we just had them. I don't know where they went. Horizontal lines were y equals a number, and the slope is 0. Oh, it's right here. Horizontal lines are y equals a number, the slope is 0, and the x-axis is y equals 0. And we talked about y equals mx plus b, how you can start with your y-intercept, and then you can count your slope. And then we talked about intercepts, that's what we just did. And then when we talked about what to do if you forget about all of that. You just do the T-chart.
Now, going back to that formula, the what's that one called?
Slope intercept.
The slope intercept form.
Yeah.
The other one's the slope form.
Correct. Yeah, and it's called slope intercept. It's actually called form, because it doesn't, like, a formula calculates something for you, and a form is just like, it's a shape, it's like a pattern, and so everything is in a certain spot. So you got your y-intercept, and then you got your slope. Yeah. It's a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we should try two problems that kind of put this together, and then make you practice, but while it's still fresh, so that way when you try your homework over the weekend, you don't look at it and think, I don't remember anything. So let's try two things. Let's try some problems from the book. I don't think we need to practice finding the slope from 2 points. I think you guys, that's easy. I think what we're going to get in trouble with is when we have to graph something, or when we have to find the intercepts. So let me see. I'm going to try to make sure that I give you problems that are like in the style of the book. Oh yeah. So let's do this here. Let's graph. Like, it just says graph. It doesn't say how, right? So we'll do a couple of these actually. Let's do x equals 3. And then let's do 3x plus y equals 6. And then let's do y equals 1/2 x. Oh, that's tricky. And it doesn't say how to graph, right? It just says graph. So you can do any way you want. And then here, let's say graph by finding intercepts. So let's try those.